ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चैतन्यमनों विष्णुं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकथामयं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सागररघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं नादा कृष्णपादान् सागुणललिता शिवशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, so teachings of Queen Kunti introduction. So this introduction is given by the publishers, which is Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, not specifically written by Srila Prabhupada. The introduction. The tragic and heroic figure of Queen Kunti emerges from an explosive era in the history of ancient India. As related in the Mahabharata, India's grand epic poem of 1,10,000 couplets, Kunti was the wife of King Pandu and the mother of 5 illustrious sons known as the Pandavas. As such, she was one of the central figures in a complex political drama that culminated 50 centuries ago in the Kurukshetra war, a devastating war of ascendancy. Ascendancy means who will ascend on the throne. That changed the course of world events. The Mahabharata describes the prelude to the Holocaust as follows. Pandu, so this is the history. Pandu became king because his elder brother Dhritarashtra had been born blind, a condition that excluded him from direct succession. So previously, these rules used to be very, I mean, how can a Kshatriya king be blind and still become king? So he was obviously excluded from direct succession. So Pandu became the king, though Pandu was a younger brother of Dhritarashtra. Sometime after Pandu ascended to the throne, Dhritarashtra married Gandhari and fathered 100 sons. This was the ruling family of the Kaurava dynasty, of whom the eldest was the ambitious and cruel Duryodhana. Meanwhile, Pandu had taken two wives, Madri and Kunti. Originally named Pritha, Kunti was the daughter of Shurasena, the chief of the glorious Yadu dynasty. So Shurasena was the son of Devamida. So Kunti was the daughter of Shurasena, and Vasudeva, who is Krishna's father, was also the son of Shurasena. Uh, the Mahabharata relates that Kunti was gifted with beauty and character. She rejoiced in the law, dharma, and was great in her vows. It is very important. Actually, so Kunti was very gifted with beauty and character. See, these two have to go together, actually. Just not beauty is just not enough. Today, people flaunt their beauty. They use their beauty to show, I mean, and this become today beauty means showing the skin, right? Actually, but beauty means covering the skin. This is the beauty of Vedic way of life. Prabhupada writes elsewhere also saying that shyness is a great gift for the womankind. Um, so beauty is good. And how does one get beauty? Janma Ishwarya Sutashri, by previous punya that they've done. So if one has beauty, they shouldn't show it off. They shouldn't flaunt it, right? It should be associated with character, right? And chief main character for actually women is shyness and not this excessive boldness that today's society wants to demonstrate is not really it's not something that is appreciated in Vedic civilization. So she was gifted with beauty and character, and more importantly, she rejoiced in the dharma, in the law, and was great in her vows. And she was following dharma, and she was also doing a lot of tapascharya, austerities. And she was very great in her vows. She also possessed an unusual benediction. What is that? When she was a child, her father Shurasena had given her adoption to his childless cousin and close friend Kunti Boja, hence the name Kunti. So Kunti Maharani, Kunti Devi was, when she was a child only, she was given away to a friend, Shurasena's friend, who was a king, who was called Kunti Boja. And so she was called Kunti. Otherwise, her name was Prita. In her stepfather's house, Kunti's duty was to look after the welfare of guests. One day, the powerful sage and mystic Durvasa came there and was pleased by Kunti's selfless service. Foreseeing that she would have difficulty conceiving sons, Durvasa gave her the benediction that she could invoke any demigod and by him obtain progeny. So this is not something that is there only today. Difficulty in having sons. This is also there for Kunti for some reason. And Durvasa gave her the benediction that she could invoke any demigod and by him obtain progeny. After Kunti married Pandu, he was placed under a curse that prevented him from begetting children. So he renounced the throne and retired with his wives to the forest. There, Kunti's special benediction enabled her to conceive at her husband's request 3 glorious sons. See, this is very important. Kunti they didn't have children, but only at her husband's request, she decided to invoke that special benediction that Durvasa had given, not by her own desire. So she through demigod, she got 3 glorious sons. First, she invoked Dharma, the demigod of religion. After worshipping him and repeating an invocation, Durvasa had taught her. She united with Dharma and in time gave birth to a boy. As soon as the child was born, a voice with no visible source said, "The child will be called Yudhishthira, and he will be very virtuous. He will be splendid, determined, renounced, and famous throughout the 3 worlds." Having been blessed with this virtuous son, Pandu then asked Kunti for a son of great physical strength. So first was Dharma, an upholder of Dharma, Yudhishthira. Now Pandu said, "No, I want a son of great physical strength." Thus Kunti invoked Vayu, the demigod of wind, who begot the mighty Bhima. Upon Bhima's birth, the supernatural voice said, "The child will be foremost of all strong men." Thereafter, Pandu consulted with great sages in the forest and then asked Kunti to observe vows of austerity for 1 full year. At the end of this period, Pandu said to Kunti, "O beautiful one, Indra, the king of heaven, is pleased with you, so invoke him and conceive a son." Kunti then invoked Indra, who came to her and begot Arjuna. As soon as the prince was born, the same celestial voice boomed through the sky, "O Kunti, this child will be as strong as Kartavirya Arjuna, Kartavirya, and Shibi, 2 powerful kings of Vedic times, and as invincible in battle as Indra himself. He will spread your fame everywhere and acquire many divine weapons." Subsequently, so he was called Arjuna. And subsequently, Pandu's junior wife Madri bore 2 sons named Nakula and Sahadeva. These 5 sons of Pandu, Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva, then came to be known as the Pandavas. Now, since Pandu had retired from the throne and gone to the forest, Dhritarashtra had temporarily assumed the throne until Pandu's eldest son Yudhishthira came of age. See, this was the rule. Actually, Dhritarashtra had no right over the kingdom at all. He temporarily assumed the throne because Pandu retired from the throne and there was nobody to take care. So Dhritarashtra, blind, was just sitting on the throne, and based on the advice of Bhishma Dev and other ministers, he was just taking care of the duties of the kingdom. However, long before that time, Pandu died as a result of the curse, and Madri gave up her life as well by ascending his funeral pyre. So this is the process of sati, which today people think, we should understand why this sati was being practiced. Previously, women used to be so chaste and attached to their husbands that they would not actually literally feel like living after their husband died. They will feel that the separation would be so much that they would just say, "No, I can't live anymore. So I want to go." Sahagamana, it is called. I want to go. So gamana means go. Saha means along with. So he said, "I will go along with my husband." So they would enter the fire and then they would achieve the same destination as the husband. So when Pandu died, actually, both these, there was Madri and Kunti, there was some discussion saying that who should enter the fire because there were 5 young children. One of them had to remain to take care of them. So then it was decided that Madri will enter the fire and Kunti will take care of all the sons. So Madri enters the fire, and that left the 5 Pandavas in the care of Queen Kunti. After Pandu's death, the sages living in the forest brought the 5 young princes and Kunti to the Kaurava court at Hastinapura, near present-day Delhi. In Hastinapura, the capital city of the kingdom, the five boys were raised in royal style under the guidance of Dhritarashtra and the noble Vidura, Pandu's half-brother. So Vidura was very key. Vidura and Bhishma, they were two people who were very key in the lives of Kunti Maharani and Pandavas. But a smooth transfer of power was not to be. So smooth transfer of power from whom? From Dhritarashtra to Yudhishthir Maharaj. So it was not to be. It did not happen. Although Dhritarashtra had at first recognized the primogeniture of Yudhishthira. Primogeniture means that one who has to take up the throne next. So though he at first recognized this, he later allowed himself to be used by his eldest son, the power-hungry Duryodhana, who wished to ascend the throne in place of Yudhishthira. So this was illegal. Duryodhana wanting to ascend the throne was not rightful. Driven by uncontrollable jealousy, which drives this whole world. People are so jealous, envious about other people and what they possess. And what happened here? Due to that uncontrollable jealousy, Duryodhana plotted against the Pandavas, and with the hesitant approval of the weak Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra was in full know of what was going on. But because he was weak-minded, because he was so attached to his sons. This is an example of how emotions, if wrongly directed, can create havoc. One Dhritarashtra and his weakness towards, his sons resulted in this great battle of Kurukshetra. So Duryodhana plotted and it was approved hesitantly by Dhritarashtra. He inflicted many sufferings upon them. He made several attempts on their lives in Hastinapura, and then he brought them to a provincial place and tried to assassinate them by having it set on fire. All the while, the five youthful Pandavas were accompanied by their courageous mother Kunti, who suffered Duryodhana's atrocities in the company of her beloved sons. See, we will observe this. Actually, Queen Kunti is such an exalted lady, and she had to go through so many difficulties. Pandavas, such exalted devotees of Krishna, they had to go through so many difficulties. Miraculously, however, Kunti and the Pandavas repeatedly escaped death. Why? For they were under the loving protection of Lord Krishna, who had incarnated to perform his earthly pastime. So they were under the loving protection of Krishna. One who is under the loving protection of Krishna, who can touch them? Rake Krishna Mare Krishna Rake ke. There's a saying in Bengali. It says, Rake Krishna Mareke, one who is protected by Krishna, who can kill them? Or Mare Krishna Rakeke, one, when Krishna decides to kill somebody, who can protect them? So though all these attempts were being made, really Kunti and Pandavas had nothing to worry because they were under the loving protection, not some obligatory protection. Not just some obligation that I have to protect somebody. No, Krishna also loved them so much. Kunti Maharani was Krishna's aunt in relation. And he was very dear to the Pandavas and especially Arjuna. They're very close friends. Ultimately, Duryodhana, a clever politician, cheated the Pandavas out of their kingdom and their freedom in a gambling match. As a result of the match, the Pandavas' wife Draupadi was abused by the Kauravas, and the Pandavas themselves were forced to spend 13 years in exile in the forest, to the great sorrow of Kunti. When the 13-year exile had ended, the Pandavas returned to Hastinapur to reclaim the kingdom. But Duryodhana bluntly refused to relinquish it. And so Duryodhana had illegally taken over the kingdom for 13 years. Now he was not ready to relinquish it. Then after some unsuccessful attempts to quell the hostilities, Yudhishthira sent Krishna himself to secure the return of the Pandava kingdom by peaceful means. But even this effort failed because of Duryodhana's obstinacy. And both sides prepared for battle. To place Yudhishthira on the throne or to oppose him, great warriors from all corners of the earth assembled, setting the scene for what would prove to be a devastating world war. So this was World War Zero. This was the First World War. And so great warriors from all corners of the earth assembled. And that was Krishna's intention. And Dharma Samsthapanarthaya. And to establish Dharma, he brought all of them under one roof, under this Kurukshetra war. Fierce fighting raged for 18 days on the historic plain of Kurukshetra near Hastinapura. And in the end, all but a handful of many millions of warriors were dead. 18 crore people died. 18 crore in 18 days. Only Lord Krishna, the Pandavas. So actually by that we can understand. See, at that time, in Dwapara Yuga only, there were 18 crore sinful leaders of people who had to be killed. Just imagine what is the state today. 18 crore leaders and their followers, everybody were killed in just 18 days. Of course, this was just Kurukshetra. Then after that, then, with Jarasandha in Mathura, then again 18 times war, and, every time so many Akshoinis were destroyed. So, which means that already in Dwapar Yuga, which is much, much purer than Kali Yuga compared to Kali Yuga, there are so many sinful people who were going against Dharma. So, what is the state of Kali Yuga? Only Lord Krishna, the Pandavas, and few others survived the massacre. The Kauravas, Duryodhana and his brothers, were devastated. In a desperate gesture of revenge, Ashwatthama, one of the surviving Kauravas, mercilessly murdered the 5 sons of Draupadi while they were sleeping. Queen Kunti thus suffered a final blow, the loss of her grandchildren. And this is all discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam, which we will get to, which we are doing. So every Sunday we are doing 8 to 9 a.m. We're discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. Arrested and dragged to the Pandavas' camp like a bound animal, Ashwatthama was let free only by the astounding compassion of Draupadi. Astounding compassion of Draupadi. Her own sons were killed, but Draupadi was so compassionate, she asked Arjuna to let Ashwatthama go free. And compassion of Draupadi, the slaughtered boy's mother, and Kunti's daughter-in-law, who pleaded for his life. You just look at the great quality of Draupadi. She was uh, dishonored, she was disrespected, abused in that great assembly. Literally, no woman would have lived, right, after such an insult. And just because of Krishna's protection, Draupadi honor was protected. And then she lost her sons, but still she was so compassionate. And today it's a very difficult thing to get this kind of to see these kind of qualities, because we see so many people are just jealous, envious, mm, just wanting their own ends, right? And very difficult to find women like Draupadi, very, very difficult, who pleaded for his life. But the shameless Ashwatthama made one more attempt to kill the last heir of the Pandavas, their unborn grandson in the womb of Uttara, by hurling the supreme Brahmastra weapon. So this was Parikshit Maharaj. When she saw the missile, when Uttara saw the missile flying straight at her, Uttara immediately ran to the shelter of Lord Krishna. When a devotee is in danger, he or she will just take shelter of Lord Krishna. There's no other way. There is no other need, no need to run to anybody else. And Lord Krishna was just about to depart for Dwarka, his majestic capital city. Krishna protected the Pandavas and their mother Kunti from imminent death by stopping the weapon's uncontrollable heat and radiation with his own Sudarshana Chakra. So this is also very beautifully described in Srimad Bhagavatam. How Krishna enters. He's seen by Parikshit. Chaturbhuja form, 400 form of Vishnu is seen. And Vishnu destroys, using his Sudarshan Chakra, destroys the Brahmastra weapon. And then after that, literally, Parikshit gets a rebirth. And after Parikshit comes out, he starts in, to check who is this person. So Pariksha means to test, to examine. So he got the name Parikshit because he was examining every person to understand, is this the person who saved me in my mother's womb? Is this the person? Is this the person? So he came to be known as Parikshit. Having delivered the Pandavas from this last calamity and seeing that all his plans were fulfilled, Lord Krishna was again preparing to leave. For years, Duryodhana had tormented Queen Kunti's family, but Krishna had protected them at every turn, and now he was going away. Kunti was overwhelmed and she prayed to Krishna from the core of her heart. Kunti was Lord Krishna's aunt. Yet despite this conventional tie with the Lord, she fully understood his exalted and divine identity. He knew full well that he had descended from his abode in the spiritual world to rid the earth of demoniac military powers and re-establish righteousness. So Krishna had descended from his spiritual abode, which is called Goloka Vrindavana. He had descended to rid the earth of demoniac military powers and re-establish righteousness. Just before the Great War, Krishna had revealed all this to her son Arjuna in words immortalized in the Bhagavad Gita 4.78. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Whenever and wherever there's a decline in religious practice or descendant of Bharata and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I incarnate myself in order to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I advent myself millennium after millennium. Sambhavami yuge yuge. Krishna had accomplished his purpose of annihilating the miscreants by orchestrating the destruction of the unholy Kauravas. Orchestrating. It was like a performance, musical performance, where there's an orchestrator who guides, directs all the players, all the musicians. So Krishna orchestrated the destruction. So this also we should note, saying that in lives of devotees, Krishna will orchestrate destruction of all unholy things, all inauspicious things. Krishna will orchestrate the destruction. So devotees have to be just patient and be under the protection of Krishna. Then he installed Yudhishthira on the throne to establish the Pandava reign, and he consoled the slain warriors' relatives. The scene of the Lord's imminent departure provides the setting for Queen Kunti's exalted prayers. Actually, these prayers are just literally so beautiful, as we will read. As Kunti approached the Lord's chariot and began to address him, her immediate purpose was to persuade him to remain in Hastinapura and protect the Pandava government from reprisals. So she says, this is the first verse, she says, "Oh my Lord, are you leaving us today? Though we are completely dependent on your mercy and have no one else to protect us, now when all the kings are at enmity with us." From this supplication, we should not mistakenly conclude that Kunti's prayers were self-serving. So this is very, very important. So for this, we should understand that there are two kinds of devotees. One, those majority of the devotees want something, some material benefit out of the Lord. So they're called mixed devotees, Mishra Bhaktas. And then there is one category which is very, very special, who are called pure devotees. And these pure devotees don't want to ask anything for their own self. So Kunti Maharani was a pure devotee. So, though her prayer here seems to be like self-centered, self-serving, actually it was not. Although her sufferings were far greater than those any ordinary person could endure, she does not beg relief. This is unbelievable. What calamities, what distress Kunti Maharani went through. If you read Mahabharata, we'll understand so many repeatedly, one after another, one after another. She and her sons go through so much of difficulty because of Duryodhana. But never, never, never she begs for relief from Krishna. She just has faith that, okay, Krishna is there. If he wants, he's going to protect us. That's all. She doesn't beg for relief. And here also, it doesn't, though it looks like that, our acharyas reveal that actually she was not begging for relief. This prayer was not self-serving. On the contrary, she prays to suffer even more. This we will understand. She will say, let me suffer more. Let these calamities happen again. So if that was her mood, why would she beg for protection or, relief from her sufferings? So she prays to suffer even more, for she reasons that her suffering will increase her devotion to the Lord and bring her ultimate liberation. This is the prayer. My dear Krishna, your Lordship has protected us from the poisoned cake. So Kunti Maharani is saying here some of the instances she's narrating or mentioning. Protected us from the poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. I wish that all these calamities would happen again and again, so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated birth and death. So this is the idea, ultimate liberation. And when there is suffering, here it is being said that, one should increase the devotion to the Lord. When we have suffering in our life, we should increase our devotion to the Lord, because ultimately that increased devotion will bring us ultimate liberation. So that was her intention. not just temporary material relief. She's saying, let us suffer even more and more, so that we could see you again and again. Because just by seeing you, we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. Just by seeing Krishna, of course, we cannot see Krishna today. Krishna is not there in front of us, but we can see Krishna in his words, in his instructions, in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So by seeing Krishna, we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. That's the whole idea why we are doing this daily reading. So that daily, if we are seeing Krishna, if we are hearing Krishna, seeing Krishna, hearing Krishna, non-different. We are in touch with Krishna. By being in touch with Krishna, we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. Very simple process. Simply hear about Krishna, that's all. Kunti's words, the simple and illuminating outpourings, you know, of the soul of a great and saintly woman devotee reveal both the deepest transcendental emotions. See, this is very important. People are stuck with material emotions. Material emotions bind us to this material, miserable material world. But transcendental emotions will take us out of this material world. We need to develop this. And this is developed on the basis of tattva. Transcendental emotions are developed on the basis of philosophy. It is not just some plain, emotions without any basis. Just not like, so it's like we have to know Krishna, and then we will develop emotions towards him. So this we will slowly understand. So we should not simply, this is not some material emotion that she felt. So reveal both the deepest transcendental emotions of the heart and the most profound philosophical and theological penetrations of the intellect. So the prayers that she offers so deep philosophically. So it was both philosophically profound as well as demonstrated deep transcendental emotions. Her words are words of glorification, impelled by a divine love steeped in wisdom. See, so beautiful this is. The divine love steeped in wisdom, not divine love, just sentimental divine love, not sentimental emotions. It was steeped in wisdom. So some of the prayers here they've quoted, right? O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. This is the most important thing. Krishna means akarshana, karshana, attraction. So our attraction should be constantly drawn towards Krishna and not towards anybody else. Bhagavatam is saying, Kunti Maharani is saying. Kunti's spontaneous glorification of Lord Krishna and her description of the spiritual path are immortalized in the Mahabharata and Bhagavata Purana, and they have been recited, chanted, and sung by sages and philosophers for thousands of years. As they appear in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, Queen Kunti's celebrated prayers consist only of 26 couplets, verses 18 through 43 of the 8th chapter, yet they're considered a philosophical, theological, and literary masterpiece. It's not like, she didn't have any knowledge, understanding. She was simply sentimental lady. No, she's one of the greatest devotees. And devotees are all philosophical, theological. So they understand philosophy completely. So she offers these prayers which are considered philosophical, theological, and literary masterpiece. Literary masterpiece, meaning the way even these verses have been uh, written or so literally also it is a masterpiece. The present book, Teachings of Queen Kunti, includes those inspired verses and an illuminating commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and renowned Vedic scholar and spiritual leader. In addition to this commentary, Teachings of Queen Kunti contains further explanations that Srila Prabhupada gave in a series of lectures delivered in the spring of 1973 at ISKCON centers in New York and Los Angeles. At that time, he analyzed the verses in significantly greater detail and shed even more light upon them. This book offers the reader a deeper look into what it means to live immersed in a spiritual life and opens a window into the thoughts and experiences of both Queen Kunti and Srila Prabhupada to elevated practitioners of the yoga of devotional mysticism, the publishers. Okay, so beautiful introduction. I set the scene for us to continue reading. So we will stop here. And tomorrow, Krishna willing, so we'll start this first verse, which is from Srimad Bhagavatam 8:18. Right? So each and every verse, there is a caption and it's indicating what actually is the focus of that verse when Kunti Maharani spoke these words. So we will read each of them. So some of them have short purport, some of them are long, and we'll see at whatever pace we can. Right. So I'll stop here. If there is anything anybody wants to ask, you can please do so. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
Swamiji, Hare Krishna, Swamiji. This is Nayak.
Yes, Nayak. Yes, please tell me.
Yeah. So just want to say thank you very much. This is my first session I attended, and I
Okay.
literally felt very happy the way you have explained complete gist of Mahabharata, and also the last piece when you said, the way how we have to liberate. That means the chakra, Janma and Marana. So with this, the
Yeah.
way how we have to. That's really mesmerizing. And also you said one line in between that, when Krishna decided to protect someone, no one can hurt them or no one can, you know, give any problem or anything.
Yeah.
And similarly, when Krishna decided to destroy anything, so that also cannot be stopped. So it was like a
Yes.
goosebump,
Yes.
I got goosebump during that time. That's really great, really. Makes
Very
us,
nice. Very nice.
even when I'm explaining now, I'm getting goosebump because that that creates a kind of a relation and a
Yeah.
kind of a knowledge about Krishna, what he
Yes.
is,
Yes.
and how we have to get matured day by day. So
Yes.
thank you so
Yes.
much. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
all
Thank
the effort and thank you again.
you.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, Akshay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, this the boon that Durvasa Muni gave to Queen Kunti, that was for Queen Kunti. Then how did Madri got Nakul and Sahadev? I'm a little bit
Yeah,
confused.
she also got, yes, I'm not very big expert in Mahabharat. So she also got, Madri also begot sons from Ashwini Kumaras, I think. Once again. Yeah, as far as I remember, Madri also gets sons from Ashwini Kumaras. So, one second. Yeah, Madri chose Ashwini Devatas because she too wanted to have more kids. So I don't know how she got the. So we can read up Mahabharat, like I said. I mean, I'm not like a.
Sure, Prabhuji.
By using the same mantra. Okay, here this might not be authentic. I'm just reading from internet. After Kunti got 3 sons, Madri also wanted to get children by using the same mantra, but she did not want or did not possess enough courage to beg to Kunti for a mantra. So she sent Pandu to Kunti to ask for the mantra. Kunti though did not deny but agreed half-heartedly. So this is what it's saying, but I don't know. I mean, I can't say it's authorized because it's from the internet. But yeah, looks like she also got from, if anybody is here who has heard from some authorized sources, you can let me know. But I think this is what happened. We can confirm.
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Anybody? Okay, great. So I think these prayers are, I mean, amazing. Like many times in the past when I read them, it's just, yeah, literally goosebump types, right? Every one of them. So we'll go through and see. One of the things we have to always, when we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, when we are hearing prayers from devotees, Kunti Maharani was a great devotee. We have to understand the mood of these devotees, right? And this mood is for us to learn, saying that how devotees so heartfelt, such heartfelt prayers they offer to the Lord. And Kunti Maharani's life is a great, it's a something for all of us to follow, right? Because so much of difficulties, right? And all of us go through our own lives and challenges. And the mood in which we have to live our life, we have to learn from Queen Kunti. People are so impatient today. There's one problem, they want relief, and they say, "Oh, I haven't done anything wrong. I'm such a nice person." What about Queen Kunti? What about Pandavas? Were they nice people or not nice people? They were so exalted. And even they went through so many difficulties. So we should understand all great personalities go through difficulties, but they show their mettle by remaining fixed on dharma, by being continuing to remain, to continue to do their bhakti, depend on Lord Krishna. They show their mettle, they show their class quality. And that is what we need to learn, right? It's not escaping. Of course, Krishna says, "Am tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayashyami." Krishna is saying, I will take away all your difficulties, all your results of your sinful activities. But devotees won't pray. Don't pray for this because they know Krishna is there. Krishna will do whatever is right for me. Why am I worried? We think we are very intelligent. Going from one place to another place, today we have to use Google Maps. That's all our intelligence is. We have no idea what is going to happen after we take the next turn. Right? So we should have full faith in Krishna and just depend on him. That's why Krishna is saying, Sarvadharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. So we don't have to go take shelter of many people, other people, human beings, great demigods, devatas. We don't have to go to them. We have to simply take shelter of Krishna. He will protect us. He's giving us the assurance. Okay, so these are beautiful prayers. So we hope we can, get more enlightened and become more purified, because this is not only for knowledge that we are doing. Bhagavatam means knowledge and alongside purification. Just by hearing these things, we'll get purified. So we'll hope to continue tomorrow again at 8:30 a.m. Thank you very much for joining. Shri Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhubhyo cha Patitana Pavanebhyo Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Dr.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.